Today, more classified documents found in Joe Biden's private office, and they contain top secret material. Also, why was Hunter Biden paying his daddy almost $50,000 in rent every month? We'll get into all of that and more, and it all starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, and I am joined today by America's favorite cowboy, host of the Chad Prather Show, the one and only Chad Prather, who thank you for getting off your phone long enough.
No, I don't want to get off. This is breaking news. This is breaking news. Kevin McCarthy has been appointed. He's been voted Secretary of State.
Oh, wow. Not.
What?
No, I'm just kidding. Speaker of the House. See, it's breaking news.
Yeah.
No, that's
news.
not.
Breaking news just happened.
No, it didn't.
Oh, okay, I'm behind.
Also
Where have I been?
So many places. Also joined by Alex Stein, of course, BlazeTV host of the upcoming Primetime with Alex Stein, which is being built right over in the other set where Chad
Across the room from where I sit every day.
Yeah, well, it slowed down. They found some Biden classified documents when they were building it, so it's now the FBI is in there. But shortly, but surely it will be started. So
yes.
Yeah.
The FBI, strangely, you say, visited your set, has not yet visited Joe Biden's residence, even though we keep finding all of these classified materials. So I guess every time I leave and we pre-tape a show, something really important happens, and I can't talk about it. So Friday, we found out news that more documents had been found at Joe Biden's private office over at the Penn Biden Center in Washington, D.C. And, we talk about the first batch of documents that were found there. Then we have the second batch of documents that were found in his garage next to his Corvette, which, he would argue, well, it was locked, so it's fine.
Would argue. He did argue.
He did argue. Sorry. He did argue that, it was a locked garage. Come on, I'm not stupid. I at least lock the door before I leave behind my classified documents. Well, now we're finding out that within all of these classified documents, they actually contained top secret materials. So there's 10 classified documents that have already been known to have been recovered. And there are top secret materials. Now, here's just for a rundown for the average American who doesn't pay attention to this type of thing all the time. So there's 3 security classifications that the United States uses: confidential, secret, and top secret. And to get that top secret definition, to categorization, I should say, it could cause exceptionally grave damage to national security to get that top secret security categorization. And again, I feel like I need to bring this up every time we talk about this classified document, subject is when you're talking about it with Trump, you're talking about the president of the United States who has the ability to declassify whatever documents he wants. Joe Biden took these documents when he was vice president of the United States, when he had absolutely no capacity to be allowed to take these, and he has them. And it's top secret material. I recall whenever they raided Mar-a-Lago in this unprecedented raid, and people said, "Oh, but we heard that he might have nuclear secrets, nuclear secrets in these classified documents." Well, that never came to fruition. But this is very, very real and very, very scary. That Joe Biden had these top secret documents in a garage next to his Corvette, but don't worry, it was locked.
But was it though? And then what we find out is Joe wasn't even living there. Hunter was.
Okay, thank you for adding that extra layer to the story. Hunter was living there. And how much was he paying his father in rent every month?
$49,910 a month in rent.
Huh. Interesting. That sounds like a very bad investment.
If you go on Zillow.com and start looking at the rental houses in that same area, in that city, the most expensive lease fee that is in that area is $6,000 a month. He was paying $49,910. I mean, listen, we've wondered all along about the 10% to the big guy. We've wondered all along whether or not Hunter Biden was using one of the easiest ways in the world to launder money, and that is through art. You can also launder money through rental agreements. Obviously, well, it should be obvious that if you were to take these classified documents that were in a house that Hunter Biden was occupying, and I have no doubt in my mind he was leaking information. Maybe it was to China, maybe it was to Ukraine. I can make arguments for both. And some of that money was coming from somewhere, because if he's making $84,000 a month by being on the board of Burisma with no oil and gas experience, and then he's spending $50,000 on rent, it's weird. It's a weird equity going on right there. So apparently he's getting money from somewhere, and that 10% for the big guy's going over there. I guarantee you there's a tie between the 10% for the big guy and these classified documents. These guys, you want to hear what I really think about them, you're going to have to watch my show next. But
he doesn't mince words either.
I'm telling you, I'll tell you there, but I'm just saying, this is bad. It's really, really bad. It's what we've always known is going on. And now, how much of it will be brought to light? We'll see. I hope within the next week, maybe this week, we're going to see some serious expose that's going to happen. Because here's what's happening. The Democratic Party is done with Joe Biden. He cannot run in 24. They're done with him. This is going to turn out to be nothing short of a political and public execution. This guy's over. He's done.
Well, what could possibly go wrong with allowing a crackhead access to classified documents?
No, nothing can go wrong with that. But seriously, you guys made all the good points. The fact that he can't declassify a document as a vice president, so we kind of know that he at least committed some sort of, he broke the law, right? Okay, let's just say that. And obviously, the media and the way the Department of Justice was weaponized against Trump was much more severe than it was with Joe Biden. But like you said, Chad, this is just a way to nullify him from running in 2024, just like it's a way to nullify Trump, in my opinion. And I think the DNC is done with Joe Biden. As a matter of fact, I don't even think they like Joe Biden to start with. I think they just used him as a puppet, and they knew that he was probably had the biggest name recognition, and that they could cheat. So, they could put anybody in. So for me, this is the quote-unquote humiliation ritual, and they are going to, conspiracy theorists, tinfoil hat, they definitely want Kamala Harris as the president, just for the symbology of it. Even if they run Gavin Newsom in 2024, they would love to break that quote-unquote glass ceiling, especially with a multicultural woman, because Joe Biden is that 80-year-old white guy. I mean, he's really kind of the opposite of what the new Liberal Party stands for, but Kamala Harris is like the dictionary definition of it.
So, it's been interesting watching this all play out, because the question that I continue to have is, what were the aides? Remember, when news broke, it was aides found these classified documents at this office in these files. What were they doing? What were they looking for in the first place that would have led them to these They were looking for something. You don't just randomly have aides going to your office where you are not and randomly searching through documents, not knowing what they will find. They were clearly looking for something. What were they looking for, and why, right?
Well, here's my take on that. We saw the congressman the other day being interviewed, and he said, well, I think maybe they were planted. Now, his accusation was that this was the Republicans that are planting these documents in Joe Biden's private office as well as his private residence. I think maybe we were looking at the Democrats planting this stuff.
Yeah. Well, so that's my point is, the only plausible theories that I can come up with are either A, the Democrats decided we are done with Joe Biden, and they decided to, I wouldn't even say planted, but like they knew that these existed, so they thought, okay, we'll go find them. There's no guest logs. So let's get to that in a second. And so either A, they were planted by the Democrats, or B, they were looking for them because they knew indictments were coming and they wanted to get ahead of it, and then didn't know how to handle it. But I feel like, why are you going through these files looking for something? What were you looking for, and why?
It was time.
Timing.
That's what I... There's no other plausible theory to me.
They think we are all stupid.
And we are.
And by and large, we keep letting it go. And I mean, when Joy Behar gets on The View and says, well, we know Trump is a liar and a thief, and so we don't trust him, but we don't think that about Joe Biden, so we give him the benefit of the doubt. That's stupidity.
Right.
That's pure ignorance. No, let's bring up the fact that University of Penn, where his think tank was, if you ever feel bad about your life and don't think you're going anywhere, just remember even Joe Biden had a think tank. So they received like 10 times more donation than any other university from the communist China government. They got a $50 million donation. Why? Well, because one of their assets was there, and his name was Joseph Robinette Biden. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why all that money went there.
And I really want to make this point, too. This is really how you know the narrative is changing. You see the media is now all of a sudden turned on Biden, and they're putting Biden out there to answer questions when we know that cognitively he probably can't answer those questions. And I think it was Joe Scarborough on MSNBC or maybe one of the idiots on CNN. But they brought up about how Joe Biden didn't even march in the civil rights, but multiple times, I don't know if you guys saw this viral clip, multiple times on his campaign trail, he would continue in 1988 while he was running for president as a 44-year-old said he marched in the civil rights, and his campaign was like, you didn't. He's like, I know. But the media calling that out, I mean, that's very egregious. It seems like the tide is turning.
Yeah, this is a dude who says he got arrested with Nelson Mandela.
Yeah,
This is a guy who just today, Martin Luther King Day, just sang happy birthday to the wife of MLK3 and couldn't even remember her name when he got to the middle of the happy birthday song.
Well, and I got to make this point. As a person that goes to tons of protests, it would be so easy to go to a civil rights protest. I'm sure all you had to do is go to one big city once. Like that, to lie about that, I'm sure he had multiple opportunities to go in a civil rights protest.
I marched in the Me Too movement.
I'm just saying, I marched in all kinds of crap, and I don't care. It's just, I guarantee that he had the opportunity to march in it, and he did march in it and then lied about it. So that's even more egregious.
I've been to the Women's March. I've been to the Me Too rallies. I dressed up like a vagina.
Good for you, and you should have.
I wasn't at the rally when I did that, but I did.
So I want to play Ilhan Omar because this is kind of the new talking point from the left on this issue when you're talking about, Democrat lawmakers is that, when it comes to Joe Biden's classified documents, this is just, Republicans playing a political game. This is all just a political game. It's not a big deal. All right, watch.
Start by getting your reaction to the news of today. 6 pages now, no additional pages of classified documents having been found at President Biden's home in Delaware.
She's shocked.
Well, one, I'm glad that there is a special prosecutor that's been appointed to investigate.
You are glad that there is a special prosecutor. Tell me why.
Because anytime there is a deviance in regards to security protocols, that should be taken serious. It should be investigated.
Okay.
What I find interesting is that Republicans who have defended Trump after he literally stole classified documents, refused to turn them over, lied about having them, made up some story about how he declassified them, had to have his house raided in order for those documents to be found, are now only interested in investigating Biden, who has cooperated, who his own staff and former staff have themselves turned these documents in. So you have to understand, right? Republicans aren't really interested in upholding the law, in following security protocols. What they're interested in is playing a political game in now only wanting to investigate Biden.
Her brooch looks like the poop emoji. She looks like the poop emoji.
That is the poop emoji brooch.
Yeah, she has a very Somalian accent.
Yes.
Yeah, so that means she should really shut up. You married your brother and lied about that. Don't preach to people about telling the truth.
And she's a refugee, and her family's like multi-millionaires, but she was classified as a refugee.
Exactly. But you can always see when they start to get on their little roll. I know what I'm going to say now. Here we go. I'm going to unpack all this kind of thing. And they peddle this crap out there like it's supposed to be the truth. And it's so easily dismantled with just one little pull of the string there.
Right. Well, that's what's frustrating is like, no, Joe Biden cooperated with authorities and Donald Trump didn't. Trump wasn't given the opportunity to cooperate with anyone. His lawyers were trying to work with the DOJ and the FBI. They just raided his home because they wanted the optics of trying to, raid his home and make him, as Chad, you pointed out at the time, make him do that perp walk. They were going for the optics of that. And now all of a sudden we're supposed to believe that no, Joe Biden is actually very transparent, right? Oh my God, Trump was horrible. Joe Biden is the most transparent president we've ever seen. It's funny because I still haven't heard what 10% for the big guy really means. But Joe Biden's transparent.
Yeah, I mean, it's just provably false that she's lying too. I liked how she said, the aides turned it in. It's kind of like she knows the marching orders. She knows, in my opinion, that Biden's done. So it's just hearing her try to defend him and it's still having that Trump derangement syndrome where she has to make everything about Trump. Ilhan Omar makes me sick, but I'm not surprised.
This is the same woman who said some people flew some planes into some buildings.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Hey, she can kiss my ass.
Yeah, some things happen.
Nobody cares what she has to say.
No.
All right, we've got, so let's touch on the Secret Service aspect of it when we come back. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Eden Pure. So Eden Pure has this, it's called the Thunderstorm Air Purifier, and it uses this technology that, I don't completely understand, but I really love it because the O3 molecules, it actually, it sends out and it actually searches for the odors and, of course, makes it completely go away. How I know this is because, Alex, you were with me last time I talked about this.
Yes.
Have you bought one yet?
No,
I need
to because the cat room stinks
That's
with all
what
the
I'm
litter
saying.
boxes. I know.
I'm
going to
know
get an Eden
this.
Pure.
Nasty.
I'm going to get an Eden Pure. I know. Don't say that. The cats are my family.
Well, I know this because two things. One, I have cats, and the litter box stinks. Two, we cook cruciferous vegetables in our house. And so you cook Brussels sprouts and your whole house smells like a fart.
Yeah.
Okay. You the Eden Pure, you turn it on and you dial it has a little dial for minimum, maximum, and you turn that dial up and it eliminates all the odors. And my son is thrilled because he doesn't have to walk into the laundry room and smell cat poop on his way out the door.
My house is really bad. It smells like a fart because I fart a lot, so I really need it.
You
I
really need the Eden
yes.
Pure. Right now, you can save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. You're going to need that because you're going to need it in your kitchen, you're going to need it in your laundry room, wherever your litter box is, and you're going to need it, I don't know, maybe in your bathroom if you're like Alex. You can go to EdenPureDeals.com, put in discount code Sarah3 to save that $200. That is EdenPureDeals.com, discount code Sarah3. Shipping is free. Go there now. So I know we were talking about all of all of the saga of Joe Biden, the classified documents. The Republicans have asked for logs of any visitors who were joining Joe Biden, who were visiting at his Delaware home where these classified documents were stored. I think that's a reasonable request, right? Okay, so you're saying that you had classified documents. We probably need access to who visited this home, who could have potentially had access to these documents, in the locked garage. And Secret Service says that they did not keep a public log. They said, the spokesperson said, we don't independently maintain our own visitor logs because it is a private residence. And they don't keep it. So even though there was a FOIA request, a Freedom of Information Act request, they don't have any sort of, look, I'm sure no one from the CCP visited. I'm sure none of Hunter's, business associates who
Those are
obviously.
called hookers.
Oh, okay.
And drug
hookers.
dealers.
Well, no, I'm sure that they didn't visit this place where all the classified documents were kept by a really neat vehicle that people might have wanted to take for a spin. I don't know.
Just look at.
Yeah. So, but don't worry. There's nothing going on. I'm sure. Oh,
there's the big guy right there.
There's the big guy. No word on when he got this and if the 10% was used to purchase this vehicle. I'm not sure, but it does. It's like where there's smoke, there's usually fire. And it doesn't seem to be a coincidence that all of these classified documents are turning up, that, some of them are top secret, that you have Hunter living in this residence where they turn up. Oh, and also he's paying the $50,000 nearly a month to his father to live there. And also the Secret Service can't tell you who visited there. They don't know.
Well, you have to realize Mar-a-Lago is one of the most pristine places you can live, so it's worth $50,000 a month. So let's just be neither here nor there. And honestly, I think we need to spend more resources on the January 6th committee. So, I don't really...
Ukraine.
That's what I'm saying, and on Ukraine. Mm-hmm. So if those two issues, if this takes away from those two issues, then I would really redirect and, redistribute our attention towards those two things. Because this isn't just a few pieces of paper, whoop-de-doo, you know what I mean? So, like I said, Mar-a-Lago's safe. Let's figure about you. Let's go focus on Ukraine.
Okay, so I do want to get to some other headlines of the day, but I do want to just posit this. So I feel like the Democrats thought that they had something really big with Trump's classified document moment. Then when they realized they couldn't get what they wanted from it, they went, oh, so this might be a way that we can at least push Biden to the, out of the picture, but he won't go to jail. Right, because they saw that.
Yeah, we don't have to drive him and his Corvette off a cliff.
Right, exactly.
Well, because they could put him in jail. I think they just want to make him ineligible.
Well, right, that's what I'm saying, because they didn't get what they wanted with the Trump moment, so they went like, okay, well, at least the optics of it are bad enough that it won't ruin his whole life, but it'll get him out of the way so we can run who we really want to. It just seems to be the only conclusion that I can come to.
Oh, the systematic dismantling of America. That's what you're watching. Mm-hmm. Look, you got top secret, secret, and classified. There are people in prison for possessing classified documents that didn't have the clearance to possess those things. I mean, prison.
Yeah.
If you or I had a classified document, they would be knocking on the door right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. Who was at the WikiLeaks? Julian Assange.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he had to flee. And
still gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But Joe Biden will, I'm sure, just be given a slap on the hand. Okay, I want to move on to Eric Adams, New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Do you? You keep saying you love these people, and I feel like you don't
love these guys.
Love these people. So he is saying that migrants should be warned that there is no more room in New York City for them.
Wait a minute. Wait, I thought there was always room at the end.
No.
I thought we were going to talk about Jesus being a migrant.
No.
I thought we were supposed to welcome them all in like the Bible says we're supposed to. I thought, y'all done got full up.
No. Well, even though they proclaim that they are a sanctuary city, he said that he learned that websites are giving asylum seekers the false impression about what they can expect in New York, including that they would be living in hotels when actually it's going to be shelter housing. So he's just concerned for the migrants, that they're being sold a false reality of what they can expect.
He doesn't care about his citizens, much less the migrants.
That's a great point also.
Well, and I'd like to make a serious note about it, even though, I like to joke around, but you see the footage of the migrants getting dropped off in front of Kamala Harris's house, at the Navy base, and you look at it and you're like, oh, that's appalling, that's 50 Hispanic people, kids, and you're like blown away. That's happening every day here in Dallas. Literally, it's happening
way more than 50.
That's what I'm saying, way more. So, no, it's a really serious problem, and people don't want to address it, and I think that's, it's just so glaring. That's what makes it mad, is these people clutch their pearls. They see a few immigrants there, but the problem is metastasized and is so much worse, around us right now.
Well, it's fascinating because Eric Adams said in his statement, he said, it is wrong for El Paso to have a response, for New York to have a response. We cannot have these disjointed responses. This is a national emergency and crisis that must be addressed. And he called on Congress and the president to enact immigration reform. Interesting how all of a sudden, when it gets brought to their doorstep, now all of a sudden they call on the federal government to actually enforce the laws that are already on the books, to actually, not just pretend that we don't have a border. We have a border for a reason. So why would we not be enforcing the laws? Now, all of a sudden, when all of these dirty brown people are dropped off on Eric Adams' doorstep, he's like, oh, well, the federal government needs to do something. Oh, you mean enforcing the laws that are already on the books? That would be great.
That would be great, wouldn't it? But they don't enforce laws in New York City and in New York. They just don't do it. I mean, it's again, these folks, it sounded good because it's like when you tell the kid, it's like, if you go to sleep right now, tomorrow morning we'll get up and we will go to Chuck E. Cheese for lunch. And they do it. And now tomorrow you got to follow through on that because you've already promised something. You had no desire you were ever going to do that, right? So he's like, yeah, we're a sanctuary city. You remember the videos they used to do with those people coming out, oh, we're a sanctuary city. And it's like, then all of a sudden these migrants start showing up. And they want a place to sleep.
Right.
And they want food to eat. And they want to live in your space. No, we're full.
We're full at the end.
No room at the inn.
Well, and you know what? It just makes you sad, too. It's like, I wouldn't mind helping a migrant, but the fact that we help the illegal immigrants more than we help our veterans, that's what makes me sick. So it's just, it's like people say, oh, you make it too simple. It's like, no, America first. You need to help Americans, and we need to keep these people, from just walking through our country committing crimes, and instead of them actually having to pay for these crimes, not that they're all criminals, no, but they just get to get deported. So we don't have that same luck because, we're citizens here. So they don't have to be upheld to the same rules that we have. So they're not the same citizens as us, and it makes our lives worse, sadly.
Yeah, I know we got to wrap here in a second, but it was fascinating. I was reading this account from a person who worked at a hotel in New York City because they were being held at some hotels. And he was talking about the conditions of the hotels now that they were holding the migrants. They're like
terrible.
Yeah, they're having sex in the stairwells. They're throwing out food because they don't like it.
Yeah, they don't like it.
Yeah, they just throw it out because they're like, we don't like this. But so they don't throw it away. They just leave it out, and there's molding food everywhere. And these people, it's like they're behaving in an uncivilized manner. It's like, no kidding, because that is where they act.
You want to get real about it? Because I've been to these places.
Please.
When they wipe their rear end, they're not flushing the paper.
No, they just throw it.
They set it right there by the toilet.
Yeah, they throw it in a bin by the
Wait,
toilet.
what?
Listen,
okay.
In those countries, and I've been to all of them, in those countries,
they don't
go
have
to a Mexican restaurant, for crying out loud. They keep a trash can right there next to the toilet in the Mexican restaurants. Listen, here in America, you go to these countries, they don't have the septic systems like we have here in a first world country. They don't have the sewer systems. So flushing paper, disposing of paper that's
you can't
physical
do it.
waste, you can't do that in those countries.
Yeah.
So when they come here, all they've ever known their entire life is to use the toilet paper and set it beside the toilet for somebody to clean out later on.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine. Now, to prove me wrong,
Right.
I know that's not politically correct, but woo-woo, prove me wrong.
Right.
I guarantee you that's what they're doing because it's all what they've always known.
Right.
And now these hotel owners are going, dang.
Well, yeah, because it's not like the left paints the picture constantly of people who just want to come here for a better life and assimilate. No, they don't. They don't want to assimilate.
They do not want to assimilate.
They don't. They want to take free stuff from your resources. They do not want to assimilate. This is how they have lived, and this is all that they have known. They do not want to assimilate.
Assimilation is a bad word. You can't use it anymore. It's politically incorrect. You can't even. The government doesn't even use the word assimilate anymore. Border agents don't use the word assimilate anymore. There's a great clip out there where Chris Matthews is interviewing Joe Biden that's recently resurfaced, and they're talking about how the bilingual thing is going to be a problem in America. You can't do that. Both of them, Chris Matthews and Joe Biden, said, you can't come here and speak another language. You got to come here and speak English. You can't come here and do business if you don't speak English. You can't come here and function in our society unless you speak English. You can't come in here and have, he says, and they both say, Chris Matthews even says, Chris Matthews, tingle up his leg, Chris Matthews says, there's no country in the world that has multiple languages, a primary language, that actually functions successfully.
Yeah.
That's
No
racist,
kidding.
right?
It's racist now.
Y'all set the damn standard.
All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Did you really not know that?
They just throw the toilet paper in the trash.
They wipe
Yes,
their ass and put it
literally.
right there on the floor.
No, if you go to like
There's a pile of
Believe it. I mean, I've been to Mexico.
well, even in some places in Mexico. The new transgender owner of Miss Universe organization declared at the event over the weekend that the new global era for women's empowerment would be led, of course, by men. Watch.
The Miss Universe organization from now on is going to be ran by women, owned by trans women, for all women. For all women really around the world to celebrate the power of feminism.
That's a dude, right?
That's
Yes.
a dude.
That's a dude. And by the way, Donald Trump sold that organization to that dude for $20 million. You know, Trump, who just hates everybody. He don't care as long as you don't care what's wagging as long as you got 20 mil. Made that deal. Women.
I mean, you watch this happening, and it's hard to fathom how any woman can support all the women who yelled about the patriarchy and, you know, women's empowerment and feminism and all of these things, and how men are the problem, are now watching men literally erasing women. They're taking away their scholarships. They're getting involved in all of their sports. They're now apparently taking over beauty pageants, because who knows, who doesn't know true beauty more than a dude with a penis? What are we doing? What am I doing right here, right now? How could I tell you how to be feminine? I'm not here to tell you about femininity. I'm just going to let the man do it for me.
AmericanBeautyBySarah.com needs a transgender model.
No, never. We will never do that, ever.
A little extra make 'em up.
No,
Yeah.
never, never, never. And I got in big trouble on the internet when I said there are only two genders and only one of them is supposed to wear makeup. Now, I did not mean by that women have to wear makeup. I'm just saying if one of them is going to wear makeup, it's the women, not the men. That's just the standard that we've set. And if you don't like it, you don't need to buy my makeup.
Well, I mean, just the fact that the person running the Miss Universe, has a penis is a little, disheartening. But I think even worse was the Ukrainian display almost. I don't know if you have a clip of that, but how the Miss Ukraine, she came out there with her wings, just basically more trauma-based mind control to get us, scared for the poor people of Ukraine. And listen, I am empathetic. I don't want Ukrainians to die, but we've talked about this earlier. We have a massive crisis at our border, so bad that even the mayor of New York is going there. Yet our politicians only want to talk about the border between between Russia and the Ukraine. So that's what's frustrating for me. So the whole Miss Universe thing is a public ploy. It's all fake and it's all lame. And now men are competing in it. So I would suggest everybody stop watching it, stop giving it our attention, because it's obviously propaganda at this point.
Yeah, it's so freaking frustrating, when you see so many women just completely silent about this issue. We're talking about, Chad and I are doing a thing over at realwomensclub.com where, we're trying to just really fight back on this, because this is like women, God's image of women were supposed to be feminine and, graceful and all of these things. And I'm sorry, but I don't think he ever thought to himself, you know what? We're going to dress a dude up and the dude is going to tell women how women should be. And that's just going to be what we're going to do here. It's just gone completely off the rails. Not to mention, we're pushing people into a lifestyle that has very, very dangerous and disgusting ramifications. I want to bring up a recent study that shows that more than half of trans women, so this is biological men who have that surgery, they call it bottom surgery. I just call it genital mutilation because that's what it is. They are in so much pain. Years later, they need medical attention. So up to a third of patients in this study that they found, up to a third of patients also struggled to use the toilet or suffered sexual issues 12 months after this operation, where they give them this surgically constructed vagina. And here's the thing. It's not, so they literally have to, I'm sorry, if you got children in the room, take them out. They have to stick a dildo up their faux vagina, 4 times a day?
Yeah.
They call it dilating. But it's such a cute, fancy little word. Oh, well, they just have to dilate 4 times a day. No, they have to stick a dildo up their faux vagina 4 times a day for at least 15 minutes to make sure that it doesn't close. And oftentimes, they can't use the toilet properly, and they can't even really have sex. And even if they can shove something inside of it, they're at risk for infection. Oh, and also, it doesn't feel good.
Oh, and also that tube that you're calling a vagina came from your rectum.
Right.
So there is an odor there that, again, reminds you of certain Mexican bathrooms. But if that dilation doesn't happen, guess what? It closes up. You got to have the surgery all over again. Mm-hmm. This is an abomination of creation, is what this is. Mm-hmm. We are taking mental illness and glorifying it. This is an absolute affront to God's design of creation of the human body, the female form, the male form, all of this. To say, this ultimately is humanism to the highest degree. It's an affront to God, regardless of what your faith is. Listen, I believe we are here by design. I believe we are created. Mm-hmm. And if this is an affront, this is thumbing your nose at your creator and saying, no, I know better. I can elevate the human form to something that it was never intended to be. And it's a mockery. It's a mockery of femininity. It's a mockery to real women. It objectifies women to the point of saying they're nothing more than cosmetics and breasts. And their physical form. It's not. And, the Me Too movement conspicuously went away as soon as they gave Woman of the Year to Bruce Jenner. And so, you're literally giving the middle finger to women.
Yes.
And saying you don't matter anymore.
Yes. Yes.
It's been nice knowing you, YouTube. We'll catch you on BlazeTV.com where you can see this exclusively. No, but sadly, literally, like everything you guys have said is, big facts, as the kids say, but you can't even really say that because they're so disconnected with reality. And the same people that have been preaching science and 10 different boosters are the same ones that say you can choose your sex at 5 years old. So, no, we are really in this weird conundrum. And sadly, I know Sarah and I investigated. I know Chad, you're dialed in. But, I almost think we're at the point of no return. I mean, I don't know how this gender ideology stops because we've let it get here. And people are so brainwashed into thinking like that is progressive to say that trans children are, the future, or they have the right to choose to cut off their penis. But when we talk about this surgery, these bottom surgeries, I mean, this is not some walk in the park surgery. I mean, it is a serious, if you have a mental health issue, cutting off your genitals does not fix that mental health issue. So
now you're physically ill too.
Right.
Exactly. So
Right.
it just doesn't make sense. We need to really help people's mental health. And if people want to be trans, they have that right. But I just would really suggest, and do not get the bottom surgery. Do not cut off your penis. That's the last thing. You need that wiener. It's the only thing you got. I'm telling you, do not cut off your penis.
But well, by the way,
Or your boobs, because I love boobs. We need more boobs.
You should have like
up.
an Alex Stein telethon like the old Jerry. Jerry Lewis
Save the
did.
penises.
Save the penis. We should have a foreskin rally or something.
Well, I love that you said like it's not doing anything. It's not solving the problem. You know what it's doing? Lining the pocketbooks of all of these doctors who now have lifelong patients and have a lot of follow-up visits after the $30,000 vaginoplasty. No, it's not bottom surgery. You're inverting your penis into a faux vagina, just to be clear. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back.
Mental illness.
I know. On Friday, Wyoming lawmakers introduced a bill that would ban the sale of new electric vehicles. It's coming at a very interesting time because you've got other states in the country, Massachusetts, New York, Vermont, are considering bans on gas-powered cars. California has already advanced the legislation. Wyoming is like, nah. We don't want to do that. Well, at least the lawmaker who put forth the bill that has yet to be voted on, they say that they are expressing support for phasing out the sale of new electric vehicles in Wyoming by 2035, and notes that oil and gas production has long been one of Wyoming's proud and valued industries. It says the oil and gas industry in Wyoming has created countless jobs and has contributed revenues to the state of Wyoming throughout the state's history. And we want the electric vehicles gone from our state.
How dare you? People are suffering. People are dying. And Wyoming says, oh. I'm all for it.
I love
Good
it.
for them.
I love it so much. I
Yeah.
hope there's more of that.
Let's not forget about the cobalt mines that China owns. It basically uses slave labor, in northern Africa and all over the Middle East. So yeah, I mean, I think they realize these electric cars are not the answer. And just the sheer fact that in certain states like California, you can't have a gas car. I mean, that's like a dystopian nightmare where at any moment they can turn your car off. So that's what I really think. The tinfoil hat conspiracy behind it, it's not just climate change. They want to be able to shut you down for the next pandemic. And if it's as easy as a software update or a push of a button on a keyboard, trust me, they'll push that button.
Yeah, it's it's been fascinating to watch even people here in Texas when we had that whole 2 years ago now when everything shut down because it got frozen. We were all frozen, and they had all of these smart thermostats that people were trying to adjust the heat, and they were not letting them adjust it to the heat that they wanted because these companies were regulating it. And it's like, if you don't see that that's a problem, just from that all of this is a problem.
They want to get rid of gas generators.
I
I mean, what the heck? We need you. Not even that many people have generators. We all should have one. I'm just saying that's the big.
How about
red
the
flag.
stoves?
Yeah, I mean the gas stoves.
Which they keep saying is like a conspiracy theory.
Well,
No, Kathy Hochul was like, no, we want to do that.
There should be a ban on assault stoves, though. I mean, you know what I mean?
think?
Yeah, I mean, you can have
So what
hunting
qualifies
stoves.
as an assault
You can
stove?
have a hunting stove. That's
Okay.
an electric one, but an assault stove
If
is
it
gas.
has more than 4 burners,
Yeah,
it's
that's an assault stove.
If it's black, that's an assault stove.
Yeah, that's a scary assault stove.
I lost all my stoves in a boating accident.
Oh no! Wait, why did you have your stoves on a boat?
He just has
I don't know
microwaves
why.
now.
I don't know why, but they were there, and I can't. It's hard. It was a big investment. I lost them all in the bottom of the lake.
I'm really sorry about that, Chad.
Thanks.
So before we have to go to another break, I feel like we've got the conspiracy theorist here. I should ask you, I noticed that the World Economic Forum
Yep.
is meeting, and I saw,
Two big guests.
well, are not there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Klaus Schwab couldn't be
Soros.
there, and George Soros also backed out at the last
nothing.
minute for undisclosed reasons. What are your theories here?
Well, what people don't realize is the organizations like the Trilateral Commission, World Economic Forum, basically they push the idea of globalism, and so that's what's causing a lot of American strife is basically the deregulation of American dominance, so we have more global dominance. So organizations like the World Economic Forum, they basically want you to have nothing in the future, and they want you to be owned by the state. So
Well, don't worry, you'll be happy about it. They say.
exactly, like Klaus Schwab said. So for me, just guessing, I think there's a lot of heat on George Soros right now, on Klaus Schwab. And maybe for them, they can just go meet secretly with all these people behind closed doors, and just optically, it gives them like this pass, like, oh, maybe they're giving us a break. Maybe they're not trying to ruin our lives or put us in cages or shut us down or vaccinate us to death. So yeah, I just think it's more of an optical illusion, but they're still controlling the narrative or, talking to all these super important people that are flying their thousands of private jets there to talk about how climate change is their biggest problem.
I was hoping that the explanation would be like a chip. Like they're implanting
They're all
everyone with
chipping.
chips and they didn't want to get
Well, you had to be
chipped.
COVID. You had to have a COVID negative test, I believe. I think I saw Ezra Levant talking about that. But
be
I don't
what,
think
triple boosted?
I don't think they had a vaccine requirement though. Yeah, I don't think so.
Really?
I don't think so. I think it was just a negative COVID test, I believe, this year. From what I read.
Interesting.
Come on, these guys, this is what they said. They said all the private jets, and this is a conspiracy, that all the private jets coming into Davos, that none of the pilots could be vaccinated.
Wait, what?
They wanted all unvaccinated pilots.
Too many pilots having heart attacks.
No.
Yeah, that's what they said. I read stuff on the internet. I don't know if it's true or false.
Oh my God, Alex! Well, don't share it on my show.
Yeah, well, that's what
No,
they
he's
say.
right.
Is that true?
That's what they
of course it is.
said. There's
I
a
feel
lot
like
of
it
people,
is.
There's a lot of people.
No,
Yes,
you're
they're
not
saying
supposed to
in
do
the private industry. Yes, they didn't want any vaccinated pilots. They want unvaccinated pilots right now in the private aviation industry. You heard it here first, folks.
I don't know if it's true or not, but you
Google
heard
it. Look into it
first,
yourself.
So.
Look
Okay,
into
I'm
it
gonna-
yourself.
I'm gonna- we're gonna
Too
go to
many
a,
increased cardiac episodes.
we're gonna go to a break, and I'm gonna.
It's
look
climate
this up.
change,
I'm gonna look
Chad. The
this
weather's
up.
changing.
All right,
Causes
we'll be
heart
right back.
attacks.
It's coincidence.
Okay, let's see. So a statue was unveiled over the weekend. It's a sculpture. This was honoring Martin Luther King Jr., who, of course, it's Martin Luther King Day, and it didn't go off quite how they intended, I feel like. So this was in Boston, and there have been several different. There's. Gosh, that just doesn't look.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like I think. Well, there it is.
There we go.
Wow.
They should have called that statue Big Mike.
Big.
There were some questions. There were some questions.
Should be some questions.
Like, why did you make the sculpture so phallic?
Why is they holding a sweet potato?
Well, even more than the
An uncircumcised sweet potato.
No, I want to make this point. Even more than the fact that it looks like a big turd, if you really look at it, it looks like somebody's being choked out and a hand is on a neck. Like if you look at, look at it, it looks like there's two hands. Somebody's getting choked out. So that's weird too. It's just everything about it is off-putting and unsettling. There's
You know that meme where the guy's bent over and his head's up his rectum? That's what
Yeah.
that looks like.
Seriously, okay, so tune in to Chad's show tonight, which we've already taped, but we were talking about this, I think, and we were like, it's like, there's so many different interpretations. Like, you just gave an interpretation that I hadn't heard yet. Yeah. None of the interpretations
None
are good.
Yeah,
None of them, I think the sculptor would be like, wow, I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, it's so very weird. I like the choking thing. I saw a meme of that, and I was like, that's literally what it looks like. And then you talk about the other statues. They tear down Robert E. Lee, who's the worst thing ever. Then they put a hair pick. But, to be honest, a George Floyd statue in Houston is one of my favorite statues. But that's neither here nor there, R.I.P. George Floyd. I'm just saying this is kind of meant to mock us at this point. So I think it's purposely bad. Yeah. Call me a conspiracy theorist.
Well, it'll be interesting.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see if that statue stays up after all of the reports are released from the government. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my God.